situation with young girls and all, but don't worry, he's a low-level sex offender. Oh, that's coming in.
Pay attention.
So, yeah, that's why you don't involve. Matter of fact, choose who you get involved with better.
Man, this conversation right here, you is dropping bombs.
I told you, so it's only for today. It's $3.99. I'm giving you everything. I'm telling you, better ask me where Jimmy Hoffa is, so I can go ahead and get that off my chest.
We about to wrap this thing up soon, but I got a few more questions for you before I let you go, man. I'm loving this. One of the biggest stories right now in the media is Megan Good's divorce and all that stuff. And she said in the past that every relationship she approached in the past, she just was looking for them to end. And the reason why this divorce is hurting her so much is because she really went into this one hoping to be married forever, right? In your professional opinion, how often do you feel like people approach marriages just waiting for it to end? Like they just automatically go into the marriage and be like, I need somewhere to stay, or, I need some money for now. I married this person for all the wrong reasons. How often do you hear stuff like that?
I don't hear that often. People don't say that often, but why would they? Why would they say that? Why would they say, hey, I didn't have a place to live, so I was a hobosexual. I was in here just giving her whatever she needed so I could stay at her house. Very few people are going to say stuff like that, right?
Okay.
But I will hear, this is my second, third divorce, I'm broken, something's going on. I think a lot of people, and I know from my own personal experience, right? Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people move from relationship to relationship and they haven't healed. They haven't let themselves heal from past traumas, be it past relationships or past other traumas, right? And so I've heard things like, well, we were together for so long, it just made sense to get married, right? Or I've heard we didn't get to know each other before we got married. They seem like two opposites, but those are one and the same. Those are one and the same, So I experience, so I see a lot of that.
Okay.
Where people just didn't get a chance to heal first.
Do you feel a horrible marriage can be saved?
I think anything can be saved.
That's what's up.
It goes back to a commitment, That's really what it is. And looking at it very bluntly, I've said it before in different ways. It's a contract. It's a commitment. Okay. Truly, it is a decision that this is what you want to do come hell or high water. And understand that hell and high water will come. Right? So it's truly a commitment to it. I think that at the end of the day, it's required for both parties to commit to it, though.
Okay, that's what's up. Well,
absolutely.
Right now with, the law is constantly changing. A lot of people don't know that because they don't follow law, but law is always changing, right? And with law changing and the concept of marriage changing, the one thing I'm hearing a lot about in our community is polygamy. How soon before you feel like polygamy or whoever want to marry whoever, whatever, how soon do you feel like the law's just going to change and just be like, if you want to marry your brother, a cat, we don't care no more. We just want to know that you two people love each other. How soon do you feel the laws of the land will change to where everybody can just marry whom and whatever the fuck they want to?
Never.
Never?
Never.
So you don't think polygamy will ever be like legalized in this country?
I can't. I think that in order for polygamy, because see, understand that the law never works individually. Okay. Right? So when I say the law never works individually, like it can't just be, we're going to determine who can and cannot get married, and we're not going to look at anything else. Okay. Right? There's also like estate, probate law and so forth that goes into effect that has to be evolved. There's adoption law that has to be evolved. And I think that's because I also practice same-sex law, so I don't know if I gave that a shout out at the beginning, but I also practice same-sex law. I am not a part of the LGBTQIA plus community, right? Okay. But I am an ally. I do believe that love is love and thank God for it, right? However, even now when we look at it, same-sex marriage is now legal, right, and legally recognized for the most part, but there's still issues that are lagging behind that need to be caught up. In the event that you get, let's say, one of the things is that when you get married, if there's property, real estate property, and it's, a residential home, your primary home, then it's the homestead, and you both have access to you both have the homestead. And when one party dies, the other party gets their homestead.
Yeah.
What happens if you've married a car? What happens then?
And that
How is property divided? What happens if you marry? So if you marry, and so once again, if you marry, let's say you marry a sibling, right?
Yeah.
So that's illegal. And so we look at it from a moral point of view, like, oh my God, that's illegal, or that's immoral, right?
Yeah.
But even if we can't, because the law and what's morality, or what's moral and what's lawful are two different things sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But looking at it from a scientific point of view.
We got a special guest in the building right now. We got Bentley. So all that little tippity-tappity you hear in the background, that's his little ass. But
I'm good with Bentley. Bentley and I have no problem.
Yeah.
So let's say, you look at it and say, okay, that's immoral, right? Also, marrying your sibling can cause serious health issues with your children. And maybe not exactly that child, but if you continue that, right?
Yeah.
And you continue the instance, then we've seen it, especially in small communities. I want to say like in the Appalachian small communities. Most famous example is the Habsburg dynasty. They were all sitting on the thrones of Europe. They were all intermarrying each other and so forth. And it got to where there was insanity, there was bodily dysfunctions and so forth.
But scientifically, before you finish your point, scientifically that has not been proven. But go ahead.
Well, either way, at the end of the day, when it's said and done, it hasn't been. So if it hasn't been proven, it hasn't been disproven either, right?
Yeah.
And so when we talk about that,
I just want to be able to keep it factual. That's all.
I get it, but remember the state's role. And so all this, remember, I told you the law is all intertwined. Mm-hmm. The state's role, based on the Constitution, the state's role is to provide for the health and welfare of its citizens, right? Mm-hmm. So if that is scientifically the link, incest is scientifically the link for, these diseases and so forth, for these dysfunctions and so forth, if that's the case, then allowing incestuous marriages violates the public policy, violates the responsibility the state has to take care of the health and welfare of its residents.
Okay, my last two questions.
Take your time. It can be 4.
Okay. What is the piece of advice you'd like to give to people before getting married or divorced?
Know that you cannot undo what's done. So the reason I say that, and I know some of your listeners are like, "Oh, you can't. That's why there's a divorce." Okay, I get it. Right?
Yeah.
I get that part. Here's the deal. At the end of the day, when it's said and done,
yeah.
Once you marry that person, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens, it's always on the record that you've married that person.
Unless you get an annulment, right?
It's still on the record that you've married that person.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If you get an annulment, then there's an annulment record, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is that at some point you all, maybe your marriage was void. They call it void ab initio. So void from the moment it was initiated.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's still at some point you did something to further your relationship.
On the record. Okay.
Right? But also know that with the divorce, it can't be undone. Okay. Once you institute getting married or getting divorced, it's on the record.
Yeah. You
may not go through it, right?
Yeah.
But it's still public record.
You
may not, you all may not stay divorced. I know plenty of couples who have gotten divorced, gotten remarried. Right? It doesn't change the fact that you've been divorced. Why am I saying all of that? Because these are key things. People don't think about these things. When they get married, they don't have the hard conversations. And I guess that's the second part of close runner-up, 1B. If 1A is know that once it's done, you can't undo it. 1B is have the hard conversations. So before you get married, have the hard conversations, Have the hard conversations of what does this commitment look like to you? What are the limitations? What are not the limitations? What are we going to do financially? Where do you stand financially?
Do you like butt play?
Huh?
Do you like butt play?
Right. Where is your trauma? And where is my trauma? And do those places, are those places traumatic for each other?
Yeah.
Right? But in the same instance, that hard conversation before you get divorced, before you institute a divorce, because you'll be surprised at the number of people who institute a divorce because they want someone to change their actions. They want someone to change their way, So when you ask me, how many people want to stay married or, don't want to go through the divorce, that's a different question than how many people have filed for divorce because they're actually not wanting a divorce. They want the person to change who they are. Or they want to hurt that person or something like that. And they don't realize that divorce is literally, that one, is emotionally disturbing, but two, it's forever. Even if y'all get remarried, that changed the fact that y'all got divorced.
It's fine.
And it's hard to get remarried when you've had to fight and spread your dirty laundry across, across the court.
You know what? Like, all honesty, for the people who are listening to this will be chopped up into 2 sections, but y'all don't realize, like, me and my sister / attorney Lisa Knox has been sitting here this whole time talking for like 2.5 hours. And I've edited and, condensed it all into 2 little pretty packages and everything, but I have thoroughly loved this conversation and interacting with you. But I have one more question before I let you go.
Okay.
Is there anything we didn't talk about that you would like to address?
I think we covered everything. I would say, I think the name of the game is reasonableness.
Yes.
And reasonable expectations.
Yes.
I think it's reasonable expectations from your spouse or your soon-to-be ex-spouse, from your partner, soon-to-be ex-partner. Reasonable expectations on the judge's end, reasonable expectations on your attorney's end, and reasonable expectations from yourself. Like, that's the key right there. And I think we all miss that in all aspects. I think if you're reasonable and you're being reasonable with yourself and reasonable with your spouse or your girlfriend, boyfriend, your mate, however you want to address them, right? And a lot of times, I think a lot of the issues that you may have between each other can be worked out if you're both being reasonable. Right?
I love you. I love you. Brother. I've loved this conversation.
I have too.
I mean, like, so much to where you are our first 2-parter.
Really?
You are our first 2-parter, yeah. I mean, I just could not ask you all the questions that we had. Like, there are some people where I look at a question, I'm like, okay, we can skip that one. But with you, I literally wanted to know the questions, and I wanted our audience to know too. Because again, we hear so many people talk about, child support and this, that, and the other. What is it when people get money and they get a divorce and alimony? We ain't even getting to that.
Oh, no, we didn't even get into that. Whoa. That's like part 42.
But I have loved this conversation. Before I let you go, is there anything that you want to plug, as far as where people can contact you, your business, online ventures, anything?
Well, I do want to, first of all, Lodabar, this is not an advertisement per se, but I do want to let everyone know that I do practice family law in the Tampa Bay Hillsborough area. The name of my law firm is LM Knox Law and Mediation, and I have a Facebook page. So I'd love for you to interact on the Facebook page if you'd be willing to. That's LM Knox Law and Mediation. I do also want to let everyone know that I am a part of this group. We call ourselves Legals, LEGALS. And we are we're 5 Black women attorneys in different areas of law: immigration, business formation, and trademark, probate, family law, personal injury. We practice all of those areas, and we have a discussion just basically of current events and so forth, and how our outlooks are based on our areas of law. And so I think that would be interesting too. You can go ahead and go to our Facebook page. That's Legals, LEGALS of Tampa Bay.
Thank you so much, sister.
Thank you,
I cannot explain the joy I've had in this conversation. And for those who might not be able to understand, she is saying Knox with a K, L-M Knox.
Yes, Knox.